Hey there, self-care warriors. Today I'm going to let you in on a little secret trick that I have that has helped me over the years with ruminations from narcissistic abuse. And I hope that it'll be helpful for you too. Some people might find it more effective than others, but I hope it just adds to your power toolbox as to how to use self care as a strategy in order to diffuse some of these obsessive thoughts that you might have as a result of trauma. And trust me, these thoughts are a normal effect of the trauma that you've experienced, but that doesn't mean that we can't manage them and cope with them in a different way and use them as best as we can in order to survive and thrive after that experience of narcissistic abuse. So, the strategy that I use is that I decode and I translate whatever a narcissistic person or toxic person or bully has ever said to me throughout my lifetime. So this might seem a little bit familiar because it's a little bit like reverse discourse, but it's a little bit different at the same time because you're not just talking back to your abuser in the sense that you're not reframing the experience, but rather you're actually retranslating what they're saying. You're actually deciphering it, and you're choosing deliberately to decipher it in a different way. So, for example, let's say that you had a narcissist who was very financially abusive, right? But also put you down for the money that you made while he or she tried to control that money and how it was spent or how it was distributed, right? So they may have put down your career, even though you may have been the breadwinner of the family if you guys were married. And yet they're the ones who, would use your money, would use that hard earned income that they would always insult the source of, right? Or you may be having a, dating sort of relationship with someone and they see that you're abundant. They see that you're making a lot of money doing what you do, whatever it is that you're doing. And they see that money is flowing to you, that you are the subject of a lot of wealth coming your way and you earned it all and it's yours. You're independent, you don't rely on anybody else. And they might try to belittle you for that. They might try to demean you. Even if they have, only a small amount in their own bank accounts, what they'll try to do is that anytime a money issue comes up or anytime that you ever mention or happen to mention that, hey, I'm doing well, I'm so happy, they will try to tear you down for it and they will make sure that you don't feel abundant. They might call you cheap. They might say that, oh, nobody can live off of that, whatever you're making, even if it's well beyond their realm of financial possibility at the moment. Even if you are the wealthiest person alive, the narcissist will try to convince you that you are not because they themselves feel impoverished. They know that they are entitled, or they think they know, they feel like they're entitled to every source of wealth, fame, success. And so seeing somebody else have that, seeing someone else get success, seeing someone else get wealthy, makes them feel deprived of something that they feel they are owed. So I bring up this financial explanation and example because I think that financial abuse is not stressed enough when we talk about narcissistic abuse, but it can be a very important part of it. And in my new book, Power, which is an essay compilation of both my viral articles as well as new essays and new thought pieces on narcissistic abuse, I have a essay dedicated to financial abuse. And it's all about the mind games that they play in order to convince you that you are impoverished while still exploiting your wealth and success for their own well being. Or, on the other hand, they can also deprive you of the wealth that you have. Or make you financially dependent on them, right? So there's many different ways in which a narcissist can abuse you in that way. But look at how you can translate it, right? This is where the decoding part comes in. If someone is telling you that you're not wealthy when you are in fact wealthy and you're attracting a lot of wealth and you are really abundant and you are having success in your field, whatever that field may be, what you need to realize is that the narcissist isn't telling you that. They are projecting something that they know about themselves to be true. And even if they are wealthy in some way, maybe their family is wealthy, or maybe, they inherited wealth, they know deep down that they did not earn that wealth. So they are trying to displace that feeling of lack, of not having earned their wealth or not having wealth in the first place, onto you. So if they have very little money in their bank account, they'll try to make you feel like you're broke. If they have problems with credit or financial issues, they'll try to make you second guess about living off of your wealth in a certain way. They may try to pressure you into not getting the apartment of your dreams. They may try to pressure you into managing your money in a different way. They may try to pressure you into buying stuff for them, giving them loans, paying off their, tuition. There's so many different ways in which this can happen, depending on, the respective ages of the partners involved, the houses, the real estate that they own, the properties, everything that's involved. There's just so many different factors that go into that particular circumstance. But what they're really telling you is that they feel a lack and they're trying to project that onto you. And this is the same with non-financial put downs as well, right? So you could be having a lot of success in whatever field you're doing well in, and they could come around and play this Debbie Downer minimizer game where they'll just rain on your parade. And what you need to translate that as saying is that I am pathologically envious of you. I don't want you to be happy. I want me to be happy. I believe I'm the only one entitled to success. And if you're experiencing this level of success, I can't stand it and I will be very resentful of it. So instead of having their usual words echoing in the back of your mind, making you spin in self-doubt and self-blame and toxic shame about your success or your wealth or whatever other subject that they're deriding you for, you start to realize and recognize and reframe what they're saying into what they're actually saying, not just with their words, but with their actions, with their mentality, with their attitude, with their abusive behavior and their need to control and their excessive sense of entitlement and false sense of superiority. You need to decode and translate everything that the narcissist told you into what their behavior actually represents. So if their behavior represents some sort of projection about their lack, then you need to realize that what they're actually saying is, I feel a lack and I'm going to project that onto you. And if their behavior represents some sort of gaslighting, then you can decode that and translate that into saying, I don't want you to realize that I'm abusing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convince you that you are the crazy one. And that clever tactic is going to work because you're going to be second guessing yourself so much you won't even realize that you're being abused. And even if you are being abused, you'll start to blame yourself for it. So you start to translate and decode everything that they've ever said to you and recognize that their actions often speak way more volumes than words, right? Acknowledge the reality of the situation. If you are wealthy, don't let a narcissist convince you that you are not wealthy. Do not let a narcissist convince you that you are any less abundant. If you are successful, don't let a narcissist convince you that you're not successful. It is because of their own pathological envy that they're resentful for other people's success, right? If you worked hard and you earned something, you have a right to flourish. You have a right to be successful. You have a right to be abundant in every area of your life, not just financially, but spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. And if you are a social person, this is another thing narcissists do. They will try to convince you that people are against you, that you're not lovable, that you're defective, that you don't know how to interact with people. That's them. They don't know how to interact with people. They have a flat affect. They have nothing but a charming mask. They don't have any inner depth. They don't have any empathy. They don't have those sort of very humane emotions that we all experience. And so they have to convince other people that they're not able to interact with others because it's them. They're the ones who are not able to interact with others due to their false mask and their need to use a false mask to interact with others. So I hope these examples resonated with you. I think hopefully because I made it more specific, it might provide some clarity as to what I mean when I say translate, and it might clarify for you the types of issues that might come up when you are having ruminating thoughts about narcissistic abuse, right? You might have ruminating thoughts about your success. You might have ruminating thoughts about anything that the narcissist has derided you for or has projected onto you. And so these types of translating diffusers, translation diffusers, or diffusing translations, whatever you'd like to call them, can really help to start to decipher the craziness, the madness behind all of it, right? Behind all that crazy making, and get to the real hard, bitter truth. And it's not really a bitter truth, it's just a truth that is hard to swallow because you've lived your life probably stuck in self blame and toxic shame, thinking that you were the one who was at fault, that maybe what the narcissist said about you was true, that in some way you are defective, and you're not. The truth is that every one of us deserves to be successful, deserves to be abundant in every area of our lives. And when we start to allow the narcissist to convince us that we are not allowed to be abundant, that we are not allowed to be successful, that we are not allowed to be lovable, that's when we give away a lot of our power. So I hope this video helps in reframing some of what you've experienced. If you can do a fun little activity for me, I hope this is going to be fun. If you could just leave a comment below of one thing that your narcissist always told you about yourself that made you doubt yourself, and then right beside it, your translation of what that actually means, right? And I hope you have fun doing this activity. I hope it isn't triggering for you. So don't use something that's super, super triggering. Start out with something very small, something that affected you a little bit, but not to the extent of causing you enormous amounts of stress. And then you can go bigger and bigger once you pass that threshold. But I look forward to hearing your various translations. You can make them comical, you can make them witty, you can make them, you can even make them, very confident. It doesn't, and bold. It doesn't matter what kind of attitude you have behind it or how you reframe it. It's just all about bringing the power back to you. So I look forward to hearing your translations, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Until then, take care.